Hey guys, good morning. Let's quickly sum up all the things we're going to talk about in today's video. Australia is set to launch its first cryptocurrency exchange traded fund, but it will not be backed by Bitcoin or Ethereum. For failed payment, an Ethereum user pays $430,000 in transaction fees. SpongeBob and South Park NFTs might result from a crypto startup agreement with Viacom CBS. Parachain auctions are approved by the Polkadot community. The Australian Securities Exchange is preparing to debut its first cryptocurrency focused ETF amidst growing interest in a Bitcoin ETF approval in the United States. BetaShares, an Australian ETF provider, is nearly the launch of the BetaShares Crypto Innovators ETF, which will trade under the ticker symbol CRYP. There is, however, a catch. According to the company's statement, the fund would focus on global firms operating in the digital asset area rather than being directly backed by any cryptocurrencies. The fund's goal is to give indirect crypto exposure to institutional investors who want to put their money into the industry with the least amount of risk. CRYP will seek to follow an index featuring a concentrated portfolio of more than 30 prominent crypto pioneers, according to BetaShares CEO. The crypto economy is highly dynamic and growing rapidly and is built using exciting and disruptive technology. CRYP will be an innovative way for investors to get exposure to the crypto sector in a familiar, liquid, and cost-effective ETF structure. Alex Wionker, according to the release, the Bitwise Crypto Industry Innovators Index, which was created earlier this year to give investors with exposure to leading publicly traded companies working in the cryptocurrency and blockchain industries, is the index in question. According to the release, existing index components include leading Bitcoin exchange Coinbase, Bitcoin mining startup Riot Blockchain, and Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy. Furthermore, 85% of the fund's assets are invested in firms that derive at least 75% of their income from these industries, guaranteeing that investors are adequately protected. Mniokur went on to say that while it took the business 6 months to get CRYP approved, the wait for an ETF that is literally backed by cryptocurrency might take considerably longer. According to a story in the Australian Financial Review, the business is still planning to launch such an ETF, but it is running into a number of regulatory roadblocks. Only a few weeks after Diversify paid $23.7 million in a single transaction fee, another big transaction fee was spent by mistake. And while $424,000 is little more compared to Diversify's price, it's still a huge blunder. It appears that the individual who participated in a strips token sale on SushiSwap's newly created token sale platform, the Miso Launchpad. However, the token auction was so hotly contested that it sold out in 6 seconds, with 14 addresses scooping up all of the tokens. During the quick sale, the participants sought to gain an edge by using Flashbots. Flashbots is an Ethereum user-to-miner communication protocol that allows users to effectively pay miners to obtain precedence in newly generated blocks, giving them a significant advantage in a highly competitive auction. However, it looks that something has gone wrong. Transactions made by Flashbots are meant to remain private until they're included in a block. However, it appears that the transaction made its way into the public mempool in this situation. Normal Ethereum transactions are initially kept in the publicly available mempool before being broadcast to the network. The transaction was processed by an Ethereum miner and included in a block as a result of the error. The transaction failed because the token auction sold out too soon and the potential buyer receives no tokens. Despite this, they were forced to pay the transaction costs, which total 123 ETH. The NFT business, which is funded by billionaire hedge funder Steve Cohen, revealed plans with Viacom CBS on Wednesday to develop a platform for trading NFTs connected to the corporation's brands and franchises. Recur, founded by Zach Bruch and Trevor George, debuted in the crypto world with a $333 million value, thanks to a fundraising round headed by an investment group funded by Steve Cohen. Recur is attempting to differentiate itself in a competitive industry by negotiating license agreements with corporations to build NFT markets connected to certain brands. According to a news statement, Recur aims to debut the Viacom CBS platform in the spring of 2022. Recur intends to take a chain agnostic strategy, accepting debit and credit card payments. Viacom CBS has a diverse portfolio that includes MTV, Nickelodeon, and Comedy Central, allowing for NFTs to based on SpongeBob and South Park. A Recur spokesperson declined to comment on how the company will prioritize brands or the deal's economics. We are pleased to expand our consumer products presence even farther into the burgeoning metaverse, fueled by popular characters and iconic assets with multi-genre appeal, said Pam Kaufman, head of Viacom CBS Consumer Products. Polkadot's community recently accepted a proposal for the platform's first parachain auctions. Polkadot's objective of multi-chain interoperability is believed to need these parachains as the final piece of fundamental functionality. Polkadot, a Layer 1 initiative with the objective of making blockchain networks interoperable, took a big step forward today by voting to accept a proposal to start its first parachain auctions. Web3 Foundation member Joe Petrovsky proposed the suggestion on Polkadot's community governance debate site, polkaassembly.io. Polkadot should be ready for this important shift, he said, given the success of Kusama's parachains and Parity's public judgment that the code for parachains, auctions, and crowd loans is ready for an initial production release. Parachain auctions determine which blockchain projects will be chosen to get one of Polkadot's restricted number of parachain slots, which can only be altered by a governance vote. The winners of these slots will have the opportunity to create a parachain that is connected to Polkadot's main blockchain. The auction winners are chosen not by the highest bidder at the end of the auction, but by the highest bidder at a randomly selected point throughout the auction's duration that cannot be known until the auction is over. 11 parachain auctions will be held in 2 waves. The first batch will begin in November 11 with a weekly auction, and the second batch will begin on December 23 with a bi-weekly sale. The auction will last 7 days in both situations. So that's all for now. We'll get back to you tonight. Until then, join our Telegram channel for free crypto signals. Visit our blog linked below for guides, reviews, and tutorials, and subscribe to the channel for daily updated crypto news.